Hey everyone, this is Michael again, and welcome to the Smackdown review. And this is the last upload today. Did my AEW Dynamite review earlier today. If you guys haven't checked out my AEW Dynamite review, definitely go check it out. Uploaded it earlier today. It was the go home show for Full Gear, which is tomorrow, which I will be reviewing. So definitely check out my Dynamite review if you guys haven't seen it. But SmackDown tonight, I thought it was just a show, in my opinion. We were continuing with the Survivor Series qualifying matches. And we had Sasha Banks versus Bayley, where the SmackDown Women's Championship was on the line. It was a rematch. And we had in the main event Jey Uso versus Kevin Owens. And overall, like I said, SmackDown was just a show tonight. So let's get started with the review. So SmackDown opened up with Sasha Banks coming out. And she came out to the ring, of course, for her match with Bayley, where the SmackDown Women's Championship was on the line. Michael Cole and us ended up rolling a video package on everything that was going on between Sasha and Bayley, which Sasha and Bayley are the two women that are entertaining on SmackDown's women's division. And after the video package was over, Kayla Braxton was backstage with Bayley, and Kayla Braxton was asking Bayley about the video package that we just watched. Bayley ended up telling Kayla Braxton that the video package left out the biggest part of Sasha's career. And the biggest part of Sasha's career, according to Bayley, is that Sasha always loses her titles. So Bayley ended up saying that she hopes Sasha enjoyed her 13-day title reign because she'll be taking back what is hers, and their rivalry will end the same way it started, with Sasha crippled in the ring by her own failure. So Bayley ended up laughing, ended up headed to the ring. And so Bayley ended up coming out. And then the match got underway. Bayley versus Sasha, where the SmackDown Women's Championship was on the line. So we had the bell ring. Both Sasha and Bayley ended up locking up. And they were throwing some strikes at each other. Sasha ended up delivering a arm drag coming off the top to Bayley. Sasha ended up going for a early pin on Bayley, but Bayley ended up kicking out. It was back and forth between the both of them. Bayley ended up taking down Sasha for a 1 count. And at the end of the match, you had Sasha end up locking in the bank statement on Bayley. Bayley ended up tapping out. And there were points in the match where Bayley ended up using Sasha's moves. Like Bayley ended up delivering the backstabber to Sasha, and then did the Bayley to belly. She ended up pinning Sasha. Sasha ended up kicking out of that. And there was a point where Bayley ended up locking in the bank statement on Sasha. And Bayley was doing everything to keep Sasha from getting to the bottom rope. But eventually, Sasha did end up getting to the bottom rope, broke up the bank statement from Bayley. And Sasha ended up turning that around into a 2 count, which Bayley ended up kicking out of. So Sasha ended up delivering the backstabber into the bank statement on Bayley. Bayley ended up tapping out. And there you go. Sasha ended up winning the match, retaining the SmackDown Women's Championship. But overall, the match was decent. It was a good match between Sasha and Bayley. they're the two things, they're the two females that are entertaining on SmackDown's women's division. Post-match, we had Sasha on the stage, and she ended up getting dropped by Carmella because Carmella ended up delivering a super kick, which knocked out Sasha. And we just saw Carmella end up fixing her hair and her makeup. She ended up standing tall over Sasha before she ended up heading to the back. And that was basically that. So I guess Carmella is going to be going after Sasha now. Possibly it's going to be Carmella versus Sasha. And the SmackDown Women's Championship is going to be on the line. So Carmella will probably get a shot at the title for no reason. So, Sasha's going to be moving on to Carmella. And then they'll possibly bring back her feud with Bayley. I mean, who knows? So it looks like, Sasha's going to be taking on Carmella. And then we had Jey Uso. Jey Uso was backstage, and he had a cup of coffee in hand. Kevin Owens ended up walking up to him. Kevin Owens ended up joking about Jey getting coffee for Roman. So Jey ended up asking if Kevin Owens thinks his family is a joke. And Owens didn't think any of this is a joke. So Owens said he came over because they're partners at Survivor Series, and that he doesn't have much success at Survivor Series. And Kevin Owens ended up saying that he's hoping they can change that. So Kevin Owens ended up saying, clearly Jey has other stuff on his mind, and he will leave him be. So Kevin Owens was joking about Jey Uso with the coffee, saying that maybe he should switch to decaf. And then Kevin Owens ended up walking off. And that was that. So then we had Kayla Braxton. She was backstage with Jey Uso for an interview. This was when SmackDown came back from the commercial. Kayla wanted to talk about what happened last week with Jey Uso. So we had a video package that showcased Jey Uso losing the Universal to Roman Reigns in the I Quit match, the Hell in a Cell I Quit match, and how Jimmy was involved in that match. And also showed the meeting between Jey and Roman last week, which was the start of SmackDown on last week's show. We also saw Jey Uso defeating Daniel Bryan in the Survivor Series qualified match, which was the main event last week. And then Jey ended up turning heel on Daniel Bryan after the match last week. So, that was that. So then, after the video package, Jey Uso said that it wasn't personal, and that Daniel Bryan isn't blood, and family is personal. So Paul Heyman then appeared. Paul Heyman ended up asking if Reigns authorized this interview. So Paul Heyman ended up telling Jey Uso that Reigns wants to see him. So Kayla Braxton ended up commenting on Roman and Jey, saying that Paul Heyman has a better spot in the family than Jey. And Jey ended up asking Kayla if she's still throwing shade. Paul Heyman ended up telling Jey Uso to not keep Roman waiting to Jey. So they ended up walking off, and Jey was staring down at Kayla, and that was that. And then we went backstage Rey Mysterio was shown on his phone. Dominic ended up walking up to him. He ends up telling his dad that his match is up next and that he's not dressed to wrestle. So Rey ended up saying that he's trying to get in touch with Aaliyah, but he is having no luck. So Dominic ended up saying that he hasn't seen Aaliyah today. And he ended up telling his dad that he's due up in the ring. So Rey ended up telling Dominic to go get his gear. So Dominic ended up walking off. And then we see Corbin attack Rey from behind and takes out Rey. And that was that. Dominic ended up coming back and checked on his father. And then SmackDown went to commercial. And then when SmackDown came back, Jey Uso was with Paul Heyman outside of Roman's locker room. Heyman ended up saying that he really respects what Jey is trying to do. But if he's going to do something like that, he needs to run it by Roman first. So Jey Uso couldn't believe he has to get permission from Roman to do an interview. And Paul Heyman ended up confirming that. Jey ended up saying, let's go talk to Roman. So Paul Heyman ended up telling Jey to stay here in the hallway and that he will go check with Roman and then come back. So Paul Heyman ends up walking into Roman's locker room. Jey Uso ends up waiting outside. We had Roman come out and he ended up asking Jey why he's talking to Kayla Braxton, trying to tell his story or something else. Jey ended up saying that he was given an interview. And Reigns ended up saying there's a chain of command and that Jey has to come to him first. And if he can't find him, he has to go to Paul Heyman. So Reigns ended up asking, what's going on with Kevin Owens? Jey Uso ended up saying that Kevin Owens was just making bad jokes. And Roman ended up saying that it sounded like Kevin Owens was disrespecting him, which means he was disrespecting Roman and the entire family. So Reigns went on and he ended up asking Jey if he's going to just let that slide for what Kevin Owens was joking about to him. Jey ended up saying that he's going to handle it. So he ended up walking off. Roman ended up asking Paul Heyman if he knew anything about this. And Paul Heyman ended up telling Roman that he kind of found out as it was happening. So Reigns ended up saying that Paul Heyman is supposed to know everything. And that's why he's here, to handle everything, so Roman doesn't have to. So Roman was upset. And Paul Heyman ended up saying that he understands. And Roman ended up telling Paul Heyman to go find Adam Pearce so they can handle this Kevin Owens problem. So Paul Heyman ended up walking off. So Roman ended up telling Paul Heyman, to go find Adam Pearce, which thank God we didn't see Adam Pearce on TV. Considering now with Adam Pearce on TV, he is like the new GM for both Monday Night Raw and SmackDown. I don't know why, because what does Adam Pearce add to the show, to Raw and SmackDown? Absolutely nothing. Get Adam Pearce off of TV. Like I said, the guy adds nothing to either show. Sick and tired of seeing his face. So then we had Corbin versus Mysterio, Survivor Series qualifying match. God-awful match. Absolutely boring. Corbin is boring in the ring. And there was a point where Seth Rollins ended up coming out, and we also had Rollins attack Dominic at ringside, and Rey Mysterio ended up making the save. Buddy Murphy and Aaliyah ended up coming out, and they were apparently trying to stop Rollins, and they didn't get the chance to. Rey ended up yelling at Aaliyah to get out of here, saying that they shouldn't be here. So that led to Rey Mysterio getting back into the ring. Corbin ended up delivering the End of Days, a awful looking End of Days, to Rey Mysterio. And now Corbin ended up winning the match, and now he's on the Team SmackDown Survivor Series team. Great, fucking great. Just when we thought Corbin was off TV, we were enjoying, and now we gotta watch him compete at Survivor Series for Team SmackDown. Absolutely fucking great. Post-match, we had Aaliyah and Buddy Murphy looking at Rollins, and that was that. And then we went to the Women's Triple Threat Survivor Series qualifying match. It was Natalya versus Ruby Riot versus Lena Vega. Ruby Riot had a very short haircut, which, I have to say, looks cool. I like Ruby's haircut. It's very short. So, but the match itself, it was just meh, in my opinion. Ruby Riot ended up getting the win because we had Ruby Riot come in and apply the armbar to Zelina Vega, while Zelina Vega was locked in the sharpshooter from Natalya. Natalya ended up breaking the sharpshooter because Lena Vega ended up tapping out, and Ruby Riot got the win. So Ruby Riot is now part of the Team SmackDown Women's Survivor Series team. But post-match, Natalya was pissed off after what happened and how Ruby Riot won. So Ruby Riot was shown on the stage celebrating. The referee ended up holding Natalya back in the ring because she was upset and that Natalya was ready to fight Ruby. So, but overall, the match itself was just meh, in my opinion. So then we had Big E backstage. Big E was playing a game with a woman staffer. So Big E apparently ended up winning this game. He ends up bragging about his win. And the Street Profits, Montez Ford and Angelo Dawkins, end up joining Big E. And look like Big E and the Street Profits are friends. So the Profits end up mentioning their Survivor Series match against Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston. And Big E ended up telling the Street Profits that if they lay down in the ring, Kofi and Xavier Woods won't beat them up too bad. So Big E and the Profits are laughing. And then we had Billie Kay end up appearing out of nowhere. Billie Kay was also laughing. And she ends up giving the Street Profits her poster, her picture. And also Billie Kay ends up giving the Street Profits her resume. Billie Kay ended up pointing to how she was once on Monday Night Raw. And the Profits ended up saying that they were also on Monday Night Raw. And at the same time, she was. So Montez Ford ended up giving her resume back. And that was basically that. So I'm like, what? With Billie Kay coming in, just laughing, offer the Street Profits her resume and her picture. Huh? Awful. Awful, awful. Then we had Otis versus Seth Rollins Survivor Series qualifying match. So we saw Rey Mysterio, Aaliyah, and Dominic watching backstage. And the match itself, it was a okay match between Otis and Seth Rollins. Otis ended up overpowering Seth Rollins. He ended up tossing Rollins to the mat with slams, 2 big slams. Rollins ended up rolling out to the floor. And Buddy Murphy ended up coming down the ramp. And Rollins ended up returning into the ring. He got distracted by Buddy Murphy and Otis. So we had Otis do a headbutt to Seth Rollins. Otis ended up ducking a clothesline and ended up sending Rollins in the air. And Otis then ended up hitting a spin scoop slam to Rollins. And we had Rollins come off the second rope. Otis ended up catching Rollins and delivered a fallaway slam. And then we had Otis end up charging at Buddy Murphy because Otis was preparing for the Caterpillar to Seth Rollins. Buddy Murphy got on the ring apron, staring Rollins down. Otis ended up charging at Buddy Murphy, and Buddy Murphy ended up dropping from the ring apron down to the floor, in which Rollins took advantage of the match. And Rollins ended up delivering the stomp to Otis. So there you go. Seth Rollins then won the match. Seth Rollins is now on the Team SmackDown Survivor Series team. And then post-match, you had Rollins end up looking at Buddy Murphy. Buddy Murphy ended up turning to walk up the ramp. And Rey and Dominic were shown reacting backstage. They were angry. And Aaliyah ended up looking disappointed. And Rollins ended up watching Buddy Murphy walk to the back. And that was basically that. But overall, the match itself, it was okay from Rollins and Otis. And then when SmackDown came back from the commercial, Seth Rollins was catching up with Buddy Murphy backstage. Rollins ended up saying that he knows what he saw, and he thinks he knows where it's going. And then Rollins ended up telling Buddy Murphy to confirm he knows what he saw. So Buddy Murphy ended up pointing at Rollins, calling him the Messiah, and then points back at himself and calls him the disciple. So Rollins had Buddy Murphy repeat it. Messiah, Seth Rollins, disciple, Buddy Murphy. So Rollins kept on Buddy Murphy repeating that. And Rollins ended up saying that he knew Buddy Murphy would see the light. And he says the Mysterio family was never going to accept him. So Rollins ended up saying that he does accept Murphy. And that he welcomes Buddy Murphy back home and says they have a lot of work to do. And I'm like, I don't know where the storyline is going already. I'm like, can we have this storyline end already? It's been going on for a year with Rollins and Rey Mysterio. Please, can we get closure to the storyline? Put it to rest. So then Aaliyah ended up walking up. And she was upset with Buddy Murphy. She ended up yelling at Buddy Murphy for siding with Rollins after Aaliyah ended up trying to help Buddy Murphy. Buddy Murphy ended up grabbing her hands and he holds them. And Buddy Murphy was trying to calm Aaliyah. Buddy Murphy ended up saying that he knows what he's doing and he needs Aaliyah to trust him. Buddy Murphy ends up telling her that this is for the greater good. So Aaliyah ended up staring back at Buddy Murphy, and he was continuing holding her hands, and that was that. But please, can we End this freaking storyline, please. It's been going on for a year. Let's move on. I think everybody does not even give a shit anymore about this feud between Seth Rollins and the Mysterios. Please, end the storyline. Move on. So we had Michael Cole. He was interviewing Lars Sullivan, which was recorded earlier in the day. Michael Cole ended up asking Lars about last week's interview with Corey Graves, talking about how he was bullied, about how Lars Sullivan was bullied. So Lars ended up saying that he hates bullies, and that he's been bullied his entire life for the way he looks, the way he talks, and the way he dresses. He ended up saying those bullies would push him down and kick him and steal his lunch, even mock him and call him freak. So Lars Sullivan ended up saying that the other kids would just stand there, watch, and laugh at his expense. So Lars ended up recalling how when he was 13, he started lifting weights and learned how to care of himself. He ended up saying that he quickly gained muscle. And when he quickly gained muscle, the bullying stopped. He ended up saying, in fact, he became the bully. He ended up saying that he bullied the bullies and it was fun. He ended up bullying the kids who would just stand there before. Lars ended up saying that he got them back because they deserved it. Lars ended up saying that he learned he could bully whoever he wanted and that he could make them do what he wanted, even eat whatever he wanted, whether it was dirt or glass or bugs. So Lars ended up laughing, and he ended up saying that he could do whatever he wanted. And Lars ended up saying that he could do this, which he just yelled out. He ended up saying, now that's intimidation. That's bullying. And he loves it. And Lars just ended up laughing to end the interview. And that was that. So then we had the main event. Jey Uso versus Kevin Owens, which was a very good match. And before the match got underway, Kayla Braxton was backstage with Kevin Owens. Kayla Braxton was asking Kevin Owens if things are getting out of hand. Kevin Owens ended up agreeing, and he ended up mentioning that he has a tendency to speak his mind, which is almost a bad habit. He would end up saying if Jey or Roman wants a little bit, it's special counsel, and that he has a problem with that. He ended up saying what's also out of hand is what Roman had Jey Uso do to Daniel Bryan last week. So Owens ended up going on and ended up saying that he's also done a lot of questionable things for his family in his career. He ended up saying, but what makes him and Jey different is that he did those things on his own. He ended up saying that he is his own man, which is more that he can say for Jey Uso. So Kevin Owens was shown turn to the camera to address Jey, and ended up saying that this beating Jey has come his way is 100% himself, 100% Owens. So then Kevin Owens ended up making his way out to the ring. The match got on the way. Both Jey and Kevin Owens ended up locking up. Owens had Jey in a headlock. Owens ended up dropping Jey with a shoulder. Paul Heyman and Roman Reigns were shown watching in the back. Kevin Owens then ended up grabbing Jey Uso from behind, but Jey Uso ended up reversing it and went for the arm. Kevin Owens ended up countering and nails a right hand to Jey Uso. And we had Kevin Owens deliver a senton in the middle of the ring on Jey Uso, and he went for the cover. Jey ended up kicking out at 2. And we saw Roman end up taking the Universal Championship belt from Paul Heyman in the locker room. Paul Heyman ended up walking out. And Roman was sending Paul Heyman to the ring out of frustration. So at the end of the match, we had Roman Reigns' music ended up hitting. And everyone was distracted. And it allowed Jey Uso to headbutt, low blow Kevin Owens. So because of that, Jey Uso ended up super kicking Kevin Owens in the face. And it allowed Jey Uso to go to the top. And Jey Uso delivered the frog splash to Kevin Owens for the win. So Jey Uso ended up winning the match. Post-match, we had Jey Uso getting out of the ring. Paul Heyman was waiting at ringside. And Roman never came out. And, his music ended up starting back up. Paul Heyman and Jey Uso march up the ramp. Roman ended up greeting them at the top of the ramp. Roman ended up standing with Jey Uso. And we saw Reigns end up posing with Jey Uso on the stage. And that was how SmackDown went off the air. Overall, it was a good match between Jey Uso and Kevin Owens. But SmackDown, as a whole tonight, it was just a show, in my opinion. Anyways, that's it for the SmackDown review. Thank you all for watching, and hope you all enjoyed this review. And I gotta say, SmackDown is getting a little bit more better and a little bit more watchable than Monday Night Raw. Monday Night Raw is just straight up garbage every week. 3 hours. 3 hours you have to sit through every Monday night. 3 hours of boring garbage. At least SmackDown is tolerable. But SmackDown is not great by any means, though. But anyways, that's it for the review. Thank you all for watching. Be sure to give the video a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, and I will see you all tomorrow night with AEW Full Gear. So stay tuned for that tomorrow night. That's going to be an awesome show. Can't wait to see FTR versus the Young Bucks. And that's going to be match of the year. I keep on saying that. And I hope it's the main event. But looking forward to Full Gear tomorrow. Definitely stay tuned tomorrow night for my review of that. So until then, I'll see you all later.